1, 2, 3. Jack's still lame.
Imagine the ability to vaporize something from existence. Maybe to physically turn into lightning and zap people. Or even creepier, an actual palpable heart that could bring inanimate objects to life. Yeah, this and many more Xiaolin Showdown provides. Stretching the imagination in extremely powerful and sometimes confusing ways. The single most unique thing about this show is the way these four warriors use these Shen Gong Wu and affect their enemies as well as their enemies affecting them. We're also going to see how the trading card game and video game manipulated some of these special objects.
I tell you, these are the finest Shen Gong Wu on the market.
I got really annoyed by the AI slop videos coming out about these Shen Gong Wu, and I decided it was time to put my piece into the puzzle, going over every actual Shen Gong Wu within the series, and ranking them from the least to the most powerful, and there's going to be some in here that you may have even forgot existed. So sit down, because we're going through this full encyclopedia, and I'm not leaving anything out like those other people. What's up, everybody? It's Johnny Tunes, a little spin-off from Johnny 2000. I talk about 2000s retrospectives with old series and some of my favorite shows. And today we're focusing more on Xiaolin Showdown. If you haven't already, check out my retrospectives covering the second or third season of the show. And with more coming, I am so excited for you guys to see. Okay, the worst one that really bothers me is the Shengaroo. It's a transportation Shen Gong Wu, described as a mechanical kangaroo transformation device. When activated, it turns into a kangaroo-shaped transportation vehicle, and you have to sit inside the pouch, which will definitely cause you motion sickness. If anything, it only gets in your way, and who would want to actually ride in this? It's found in a mountain range in China in the episode The New Order, where Jack Spicer becomes a threat to chase, which is so funny. It's like barely used twice in the entire series, so sorry. Then we got the Moonstone Locust, another season 2 Shen Gong Wu found in the swamp. It's supposed to be a combat Shen Gong Wu, which unleashes locust-like pistols and controls a swarm of locusts to devour vegetation and other forms of plant life, specifically one in the Xiaolin Sea. They talk this whole game about how it was the most dangerous thing to ever happen in the show, but the fact that this Shen Gong Wu only really works in this one specific situation makes it kinda useless to me, and it's only used once. But it does come up several times in the background. But oh my gosh, what a waste of a Shen Gong Wu this has to be. Then we got another Season 2 one. I guess this was the one with the most duds. Then again, it was the one with most of the Shen Gong Wu revealed, so it's not super surprising. This one is the Mosaic Scale. It's miscellaneous because it just does not fit into a category. And they find it in a tree in a jungle in the episode The Evil Within, where Kimiko actually breaks it, which is so insane. And this is pretty useless because it was like never even used. It only was to trap this demon Sabini inside of it. And it's not even like that's its ability. No, they keep saying it's meant to cause mischief, which also it says on the trading card, and very confusing to me because I just don't know what that's supposed to imply. It's only in 2 episodes, so it doesn't really take up much space, but it does feel like a waste of a powerful Shen Gong Wu. What was Master Dashi thinking? It's said to be the sister Shen Gong Wu to the Monarch Wings, another horribly unnecessary Shen Gong Wu introduced and given its final episode in this same time. Apparently it allows spiritual bodies to roam without needing to possess others? Okay, and it looks like this beautiful monarch butterfly, but I would just consider it a missed opportunity because it only shows up once in the entire show. I hate the flaw of having these Shen Gong Wu just only solely be plot devices, something that they never intend to use later. That's like the biggest downfall to this series. Like, this alongside the Helmet of Zhong, Mosaic Scale, and Hadoku Mouse were the only Shen Gong Wu in the whole show that was never like officially even used, which is crazy to think about because you don't usually keep track, and to know that that is what happened, oh my gosh. Another one that's not so powerful, also from Season 2, is the Eagle Scope, something that most notably is used by Chase Young. It's considered a manipulation type Shen Gong Wu, and it's found in like some giant piece of wood in the forest at the end of the Year of the Green Monkey episode. It also came back a couple times before its final episode in the finale. So this is one of like the more common mainstay ones that I'm having a problem with. Apparently, it's supposed to grant the user the eyes of an eagle in the form of a periscope, but also can do geniokinesis. As a sister Shen Gong Wu, kind of like the Monarch Wings were, this one is related to the Fountain of Wei, which we'll put later on this list, because it actually is a really overpowered Shen Gong Wu, and once they're used together, you can unlock the greatest secrets of the universe. But just like on its own, it's so confusing to me, because it's used for multiple things. Like, for example, in the T-Rex episode, Chase uses it to talk to the dinosaur, which I never really understood. It's apparently supposed to change the outlook of certain things. I used to think it was powerful until I realized it was just the added effect that it was supposed to go with the Fountain of Wei, and that episode had such high stakes, it really confused me. Oh, I hate to put the next one so low down on the list, but genuinely, I can't defend it because it doesn't have any real powers. From the second season, it's the Lunar Locket. It's qualified as a manipulation Shen Gong Wu, found in a snowy mountain, the Deep Freeze episode where the snowman takes over the Xiaolin Temple, and it allows you to control the moon. It's pretty much implied that this is control over the seasons, technically, but they don't really say that. They only say it's related to the moon, so they could have fixed it, but they didn't. I never heard of the word lunar kinesis, but it is interesting because it's like phases of the moon. Ooh. Hannibal uses it in a really cool way in the Wu Got the Power episode from season 3, where Omi is so powerful he's self-destructive, and it allows him to manipulate the sky to get lightning. Ooh. It's the first Wu to be used by a non-recurring character, Raksha, the snowman. Ooh, kinda cool, right? It's funny to sometimes think of Shen Gong Wu as counterproductive, and this one is from season 1, but the Ring of the Nine Dragons is not super useful. It almost seems like a detriment. It is also considered manipulation, and it was found in the Olympic period in Mexico. Ooh, I like it when they attach history to some of these things. It's introduced in the Ring of Nine Dragons episode. Yeah, it had a whole episode named after it. Cool. And with its little dragon symbol on the top of it, it allows the user to make anywhere up to 9 duplicates of themselves, which is so crazy, and it even makes a quantity issue for your counterparts. Like, one could be dumber, one could be more emotional. It essentially inhibits its user. I feel like the only time it was super powerful is when it was used by Mala Mala Zhang to create multiple of him, which made, in turn, multiple of the Shen Gong Wu, which is definitely overpowered, but it's rarely used for that, so I don't really want to put it under that. It was surprisingly used most by Jack Spicer out of anybody. Mainly because it was more of a joke the way they used it. Gotta represent season 1 though, even in the less powerful department. This next one is similar to that one, but it's categorized as combat. So I had to make it look stronger than the Ring of the Nine Dragons, when essentially it makes holographic copies of yourself, so it doesn't take away your power, which makes it slightly stronger than the Ring of the Nine Dragons. So it's pretty interesting. Jack Spicer uses it in the Wu Got the Power episode, a new addition to season 3. But back to season 2, we have the Crouching Cougar, and this one is another transportation Shen Gong Wu, which a lot seem to be pretty useless, but this isn't as bad as the Shen Guru. Like, that just had some downsides. This at least still works as an operating vehicle. It's atop a mountainside in the Dreamscape episode where everybody's having nightmares, so it's cool for appearance purposes, but doesn't do anything past that. Next, I would say we have like a more defensive Shen Gong Wu that I feel like is not useful in many scenarios. It's called the Black Beetle, and this is only because I would never be in a room with lava. It's supposed to be ultimate heat armor. I gotta say, this is like one of the more cool looking Shen Gong Wu for sure. And it's actually found underwater in the Screams of the Siren episode when they had that mermaid and that hunter. It was a really cool episode. I feel like it has to be slightly weaker than the Two-Ton Tunic, just in the sense that Shen Gong Wu comes into play more often, so it only makes me look down on this one slightly more. And it's never used in the show the way it is in the scroll, where it's like a full bodysuit of armor. It's just used as the raft, so I don't really know where they were going with this. We head back to Season 1 for a fairly popular Shen Gong Wu, one that I feel like even the common person would have heard of, the changing chopsticks. It allows the user to shrink to the size of a grain of rice. This one had obviously more time throughout the series to have an effect on people and be useful to the Shaolin monks multiple times. It's found on Easter Island with Omi and Cat Nappe getting into a Xiaolin Showdown over it, and it's up until the very end of the show. So once it's here, it stays. This is the first Shen Gong Wu to be in this video that was also in the video game, which I find kind of cool, and definitely helpful in the game format, because shrinking your opponents definitely makes it easier to beat them up. If you haven't seen it already, I have a separate gaming channel where I've only been playing the Xiaolin Showdown video games, so feel free to check that out because it is so cool the way it translates to the video game world. But hey, at least it's not a duplicate like the next one from Season 1, the Long Yi Kite. Yeah, we have a couple Shen Gong Wu that allow you the ability to fly, but this is the least useful because it only comes in the form of a dragon. I consider this like the background actors of Shen Gong Wu because it comes around ever so often, is used rarely, like I think Mala Mala Zhang uses it at one point, but it feels like a little bit more limited than the other ones. Like the Wings of Tanabe, for example, which will come up later, allows you to have complete control over flying. So why is this one just like random flying? I don't know, it just wasn't fair. It's only been used in 5 episodes out of being in so many, like, since the very beginning, and it's the only Shen Gong Wu that has never been wagered in a showdown. Sorry, one of them at least. And next we have Season 2's Manchurian Muska, which essentially turns you into a fly, giving you the power to fly, but you are super small. So it's kind of like a bad combination of the changing chopsticks and the Long Yi Kite. I felt like it was only used as a plot device in the episode Something Germain when Jack turns into a fly to spy on people, but honestly, it's used so many times throughout the rest of the show, I can't really bash them for it. It's on top of a treetop, which I don't know how nobody found that before, in this like really dense jungle. It reminds me of Stinkfly from Ben 10, but again, as if the powers were not helpful. You also get a craving for sugar, which goes out of its way to have a negative side effect. What is the deal with that sometimes? At least it's not something that happens in Xiaolin Chronicles. They really mess up the Shen Gong Wu and make them like jokes 90% of the time, so please don't watch that show. The next one I feel like is a bit better of all the flying Shen Gong Wu, even though it's in the miscellaneous category. It's found in New York, one of the few found in the USA, so it's kind of cool to like be represented in that way. It's when Omi gets lost there, and it's up until the very end of the series, being one of the most important to bring Wuya to life. Now, it's just flying, so that's why I didn't consider it one of the more powerful ones. It allows you to go through objects looking like the tail of a serpent, and it's so cool to go through physical walls and buildings. I can't stop thinking about it from the Panda Bubba episode where they use it to rob banks. Kinda smart. It gives you like intangibility, especially considering the combination with the reversing mirror. I really liked when they combined Shen Gong Wu with different abilities. It always added like a cool like plot twist to things going on, not letting it just be a plot device, but a Shen Gong Wu that even influences the plot. Not super powerful, but super useful. A Season 1 staple. And it's in the Xiaolin Showdown PSP game. I like it a lot. Then we got one of the better transportation Shen Gong Wu, still not the rest of them, but yeah, it's the tunnel armadillo, found in the Alps. In the episode Enter the Dragon. So it has the characteristics and looks like an armadillo, and basically allows you to dig through the earth. They use it when they actually have to go there, like for example, the Emperor Scorpion episode, they really need to get down there, and this would have been super helpful when the Golden Tiger Claws were sent down there, but I digress. That's a little earlier in the series for them to count it. The next one is kind of a jokey one. It's the Sweet Baby Among Us, definitely the funniest Shen Gong Wu out of all of them. It's surprisingly a combat Shen Gong Wu found in the mountains in the Sands of Time episode, and it was so long before it was actually used. Like, I remember when we only had cable, I had to look through multiple episodes to be like, wait, when does this power actually come to use? Like, it doesn't even, like, say what it does. It's supposed to become a giant golden baby, larger than even Cyclops, mainly shoots diaper bullets, and it's mainly helpful for them in training in Season 3, so it does, like, make itself slightly relevant, like, but just barely enough. It feels feels like the Tenga webcone when it comes to shooting stuff, so I don't think it's that special in any way. It is interesting that Jack was the first to find it, because he had older Jack show him the location of the Shen Gong Wu before they revealed itself, which was always such a mind-blowing concept to me, especially for these magical powered objects. The next one is the Juju Fly Trap, which kind of feels like the Moonstone Locust, like I had trouble telling them apart. But while the Moonstone Locust is about trapping something, I think this one's more combat related, therefore it might be a little bit stronger. It resembles a beehive-like Venus flytrap with a tube-like cannon inside of it. And I just like the way this looks a lot. Like, that's definitely why I'm attached to this one. When activated, allows the user to unleash a swarm of flies or honeybees at the desired objects or opponents. I do like when they connect it to, like, nature and everything. Like, that feels like a more organic way to have mystical powered objects, like, when it is resembling of the Earth. Especially since the showdowns seem to be triggered by the abilities of the Shen Gong Wu. Like, it adds a little bit of backstory that you never thought they would even give you. The Woozy Shooter is found in, like, one of my favorite episodes, The Apprentice, where Chase is having Katnape and Jack fight to work under him, and it's found in this deserted mountainscape, which, by the way, it will lie to you and say it was found in the Crystal Glasses episode in the cave, because it was physically there, but they put it there by accident. The animators must have just needed Shen Gong Wu to make it look like that cave was filled at the time. Same thing with Lasso Boa Boa in there. Always going to be a continuity issue, but we're going to move on from that. And while it doesn't do a lot, a distraction goes a long way. It intentionally looks like an exotic blowhorn, brass-colored, with a black-gripped handle and brass lid on the top, almost like an instrument, but it's really a gas explosive, making the enemies act goofy, like drunk-ish, and Dojo says it makes you act like a game show contestant, which is just such an unnecessary joke, but okay. The iconic times it was used really well. Like, for example, when Omi's evil, Kimiko tries to use it on him, but she ends up getting stuck in it herself, and Katnape uses it on all the monks, and the fact it distracts them for so long makes me think it is a lot more distracting than your average Shen Gong Wu. Like, those guys are powerful. The fact that it puts them off for that long is insane. Next one is, yet again, another transportation Shen Gong Wu. This one allows you to fly, so it's slightly cooler than all the rest of them. I definitely would say it's one of my favorites. To me, I know it as the Shen Gong Wu that comes in the first episode of the second season. For some reason, that just stuck out to me for it. It's found in Kenya, Africa, which they actually have a whole showdown over, even though it's not really talked about in the episode itself. It's cool because it's like a metallic silver gray etched with mystical geometric patterns. And I love just the red jewel in the center of it. It makes it so Shen Gong Wu-y, if that's a term. They really butchered this in Xiaolin Chronicles, one of the other sins that I'm not going to address that show because of. Built for multi-environmental travel and flies seamlessly through the skies. It also has a multi-passenger cockpit, like it expands dramatically and could fit like a bunch of people, kind of like a car. And then also laser combat abilities. It's not just from getting point A to point B, it also has energy blasters and even a blue laser. It's just crazy how much it's capable of doing. I feel like it's one of the better flying Shen Gong Wu. The next one is the Monkey Staff. Oh my gosh. So we're back to Season 1 again, and this is Jack's signature Shen Gong Wu. If Omi has the Orbitor Nami, Jack has the Monkey Staff. It is essentially his element, is to be a monkey. It's considered combat, but I find it to be more manipulative, the way it kind of changes the user as it goes on. It basically allows you to have monkey-like qualities. They get a monkey's strength, agility, and balance, as well as slowly transforming the user into it. And apparently, if there's a green monkey breakout in the universe, it could be combined with the Tongue of Sagping to actually control an army of monkeys, which is such a crazy episode. You guys have to look back on that. I can guarantee you don't remember the Year of the Green Monkey episode. Anybody that's not Jack very rarely uses it. We get to see like a glimpse of one of Omi looking like a monkey, Kimiko for like a brief second, but unless you have the Xiaolin Showdown video game, this is not an advertisement by the way, I'm just saying, they have a character model for every character in that monkey suit. I know because I tried to play as each of them to see what it looked like when I was younger. It's found off the top of a cliff in Scotland, which is so fun to look back on. because it's like one of the first Shen Gong Wu. Like, it's like you don't know this show without it. The next one feels like it's a copy of the Helmet of Zhong, so I probably put it later on the list for that bias. It's called the Wushu Helmet, one of the few things that go on your head. And it's known to be like a more defensive Shen Gong Wu, like kind of like body armor like the Two-Ton Tunic or the Black Beetle. And it's introduced in the Crystal Glasses episode, but it feels like it's just for a plot device, but it does get used later on, so I will excuse this one. It's found in Elephanta Island, Mumbai, India. Oof! And it's one of the ones in the treasure trove that actually gets consistently brought into the show. So it's like invulnerable deflection, like when you wear it, it projects a magical field of near absolute physical protection from the user's head and body, which feels like a copy of the Two-Ton Tunic a little bit. It has like crush resistance, making it completely immune to being crushed by heavy falling objects, like collapsing boulders and stuff. But yeah, I really just don't think it's fair. They use it to replace the Helmet of Zhong when they actually multiply the Mala Mala Zhongs in the episode, so I am confused as to like what they were going for with that. It feels like a combination of the Helmet of Zhong's look and the Two-Ton Tunic's vibe. Next one is the Glove of Jisaku. Not super powerful, but not abuseful. Abuseful is a word I just invented. Write it down, kids. This one is memorable for like just being around, but it was actually introduced in the episode where Omi made himself too big and too small. Such a random episodic experience, but it's in season 2, and it has the ability to attract large objects with a giant magnet, and it's just like this brown oven mitt with that sprouts out a giant red magnet, and it's very, very cartoony, I feel like, but super useful when they're trying to attract a bunch of Shen Gong Wu. Apparently, Jisaku is a way of saying magnet in another language. Oh, cool. The next one is just plain iconic. It is the first Shen Gong Wu ever to be revealed. It's in San Francisco, California, in like some alley, but it's in the pilot, The Journey of 1,000 Miles, and it allows the user to jump or to flip like a praying mantis. It's a golden coin, symmetrically spread like currency. It enhances your physical abilities, and first discovered by Jack Spicer. As you know, it's his to begin with. The villain is the first person to get the Shen Gong Wu, which is insane. That's why the show gets its reputation for not letting the monks win a lot. It's probably the only Shen Gong Wu to appear throughout the entire series from the very beginning. Then we head to the Himalayan mountains. Interesting. Where we find the Falcon's Eye, which allows its user and see through solid objects. Not go through them, just see them. I don't know why I put this higher up on the power list than the Serpent's Tail, but you're gonna have to bear with me. It gives you technically enhanced eyesight, can be used as like a telescope, and its additional ability is like seeing in the dark. It's like a golden monocle that you would see on the Monopoly Man, with an eyebrow design with a dark red lens. Ooh, it's so cool. It kind of reminds me of night vision goggles, like when they used to sell those as toys in the 2000s. Yeah, that would be useful. It's found in the Ring of the Nine Dragons episode with Omi and Jack fighting over it, and yeah, it's a cool one. The next two are somewhat similar and also come from season 1, which is kind of a pet peeve of mine when they have two Shen Gong Wu with somewhat similar abilities close to another, which doesn't happen super often, but more often than you would hope. Tangle Webcomb is introduced in Kimiko's first episode. It has them go to the Scottish Highlands in Scotland, like by the Loch Ness Monster, which I remember super well. And it's a combat Shen Gong Wu. It's a yellow and brown comb with brownish green teeth. Definitely the most anticlimactic looking Shen Gong Wu out of all of them. Like, I would misplace it for a common everyday item. But, you know, that's just kind of how they were sometimes. Its full ability is to shoot a stream of hair from its teeth at the intended target and completely bind it in like a lasso. But the Shen Gong Wu definitely requires complete focus from the user, as the hair could bind them instead if not properly used. Kind of a cool concept to have a downside, but like for the most part, you never see the downside outside of that episode. The one that I'm saying is kind of like it, also from season 1, is the Third Arm Sash, which does a cardinal sin that they rarely ever do, but I notice it in this one. They don't introduce it. They just have Jack have it at the beginning of the second episode of the show, like a rock, without having it introduced. I mean, it makes sense because Jack needs to wager a Shen Gong Wu by the end of the episode, but they say they found it in France. I don't know where the monks were when he found it, but whatever. It's also used in the video games, and it's so fun to use in the video games. It's actually kind of overpowered. It works as a functioning third arm, a super strong, durable third hand. It's also extremely elastic, able to extend several meters away. It also can give you, like, geokinesis. When it's combined with Clay's element of earth, it could turn into a rock-like hand, breaking wood, stone, rock, everything. It needs to be there for Mala Mala Zhong to exist, which is definitely a really important counterpart. Every Shen Gong Wu, I feel like, from here on out is definitely super powerful. Like, we've got through all the duds at this point, and everything else is just intense. So get ready, guys. Next, we're going to Season 3, the one with the least amount of Shen Gong Wu. It's called The Fancy Feast. Oh my god, I almost said Fancy Feast. Dang, that is really the issues of a cat dad. It's crazy to think how powerful the Season 3 Shen Gong Wu must be, as, like, most, if not all of them, are revealed in this third season. It's a transportation Shen Gong Wu, technically. It gives its user the ability to run superhuman fast. It's like this pair of blue gold winged sandals, and they're similar in design to the winged sandals of the mythological god Hermes. Oh, cool. I like the relevance. Oh my god, I'm confusing it with the monsoon sandals. That is a bad Shen Gong Wu. Did I not go over that? Yeah, I'm gonna put that next because that is not a good one. It looks exactly like the Fancy Feast, but has the ability of the Lotus Twister, which allows you to extend your arms and limbs, but this time around, it's only your feet. Doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why we had to bring this into the series. Such a waste. Although this is one of my favorites use-wise and look-wise, because I've always wanted to run super fast, and I always thought it was the coolest looking Shen Gong Wu. Like, it's definitely an everyday appliance that just has supernatural powers. I love it. The next one is the one of the last Shen Gong Wu, the Ants in the Pants. Third to last, to be exact. It's counting as a combat Shen Gong Wu, and it's found in the woods atop a mountain crack. Okay. It's in the Hannibal's Revenge episode, which is the last normal episode of the show, and is used pretty easily. It unleashes an army of ants to irritate the opponents of its user. It's this golden Shen Gong Wu with a yellow ant at the top, and it looks like kind of like a food tray with a long black stick at the bottom of it. Instead of actual food, it just has a disgusting swarm of ants. Oh, okay, ew, ew, ew. Again, I do like when the Shen Gong Wu are somewhat related to more environmental things. Like, it definitely feels tasteful. And they get like 3 uses out of it in only the final 2 episodes, so it really does go a long way for what it's worth. Crazy to jump from Season 3 all the way back to Season 1, but that was the third to the last Shen Gong Wu. This is the third revealed ever. It's found in a tree. It's this elemental Shen Gong Wu that actually allows you to zap lightning out of its red gem in the center, which is so cool. Definitely one of my favorites right off the bat. This is the one of the few Shen Gong Wu I actually bought from somebody online through Etsy. I mean, they have like people that make these just as like replicas, and I've always wanted it, so I just needed to buy it. The really unique thing about this specific one is it can combine with a bunch of other things, not just Shen Gong Wu, which, by the way, combining with the Sword of the Storm allows Raymundo to overpower it, and then when Omi needs to go back in time with Jack's time machine, it's the only thing that could power the whole thing, so it does have a really important use. They also give it like a full circle moment, as it's the first Shen Gong Wu to be activating a Xiaolin Showdown, and also the last one in the finale of the series, which I didn't really pick up on, and that is an awesome tidbit. Next, we're going back to Season 2. This one is one of my personal favorites, so it definitely got some bias from me. The Gills of Hamachi. Oh my gosh, don't get me started. How badly would you guys want to be able to breathe underwater? I mean, I would want to do it really bad. I wish this was something somebody could make online, but it's, I don't know, it's kind of complicated looking. They find it on top of a glacier, and it's considered a manipulation Shen Gong Wu, because it allows you to breathe underwater, you know, I guess special, and it comes in the mermaid episode, which is super relevant. It's this gold band with green scale designs on the front, and it's worn around the neck in use, which is the only Shen Gong Wu to do so. Kind of interesting. It is weak to its user because it's unable to breathe breathe air, but because I'm biased, I had to put it so much higher up on the list because it would overpower me, guys. You have to worry about me in this scenario. But the anthropomorphic fish transformation is the most jarring part. If you use the reversing mirror against it, it just won't work anymore. And I don't think that works for other Shen Gong Wu. Like, I can't believe it reverses its powers to be used. I always wished it would have been used with the tongue of Saiping, you know, like the ability to talk to animals and then also be a fish. I'm just curious what that would have unlocked. But you know what? Too little, too late. 20 years ago, this show came out. It's too late. And next, we have the Helmet of Zhong. It's a golden Japanese combat helmet with 4 yellow spikes on the top of it. It gives you extra sight, allowing you to see from the back of your head, and it's also the main head point of the Mala Mala Zhong creation. So it's definitely really important. It's found in Nigeria, Africa, which we don't get to see much of. We just see like the background, and it's in the miscellaneous category. Very confusing. It was also cool and featured when it was possessing Raymundo in The Last Temptation of Raymundo, one of the darkest episodes where they get Raymundo to be attacked by living Shen Gong Wu. It was kind of a nightmare episode if you think about it. It's only barely used in that one episode too. Like, after it's revealed, I barely see anybody wear it, let alone use it, so I don't know. This one's not fun to talk about. The next one is super powerful. Now I have to defend why these are all so powerful, is the Hadoku Mouse. This Shen Gong Wu has an entire episode based off of it. It's apparently the ability to correct mistakes, allows the user to undo an error they committed, like breaking a wall, destroying a Shen Gong Wu, or releasing an army of spiders, like it did in the episode Dangerous Minds. It's the shape of a mouse, gold and bronze, with some ruby eyes, and I really like the way this one looks. It's never used and falls into a pit of lava and never retrieved by the end of it, so it's kind of a sad one and very rare, like when you think about it. I can't believe they made a Xiaolin Showdown trading card for this one. Very confusing. I don't know why you can't just go back in time and change your mistakes, but yeah, that's gonna be later. Then we have the Jet Butsu. Oof, back to season 1. I love the Jet Butsu. Jack wears it for the first time when he's fighting with Kimiko in a Xiaolin Showdown to get the monkey staff, and it's technically a transportation Shen Gong Wu, but really it's a levitation Shen Gong Wu, if you know what I mean. It's a pair of gold and black boots that can glow underneath and allow you to walk on vertical surfaces, and also used for flying. It definitely gives you aerial maneuverability and is a central part of the Mala Mala Zhong creation, especially since it's their feet. This was always the one that was easy to replicate in middle school because it's just shoes. Next, we have the Silk Spitter. This is found in the Valley of Dreams, New Mexico, USA, which was so crazy to me. I can't believe they just never showed you where they were. They just gave you hints at it. It's resembling a spider with a black body and a small, medium, large red eyes. And it's brownish gold with a black handle, and essentially works the same way the Tangle Web Comb did, but it's a lot stronger because you could use the webs in a number of ways. To me, I don't think it would be different than the ability to turn into a spider, but hey, that's if you're asking me. Speaking of tight ropes, that seems to be overused, especially when it comes to being the Tangle Web Comb, the Silk Spinner, and also the Lasso Boa Boa from Season 2. Yeah, see, this is like Clay's main Shen Gong Wu after it's revealed. It basically wraps around you like a lasso. It's found on a tree branch in the Master Monk Guan episode, and it's a combat Shen Gong Wu, but it definitely doesn't do that much. When activated, it becomes a lasso or turns into a living snake to attack enemies, which is the most unique part of it, and it doesn't ever come up that often. Except for the final episode where it went from black and gold to green and purple, which definitely feels like an oversight to me, but I'm not gonna sit here and question that. Then we got back to Season 1 with the Lotus Twister. This is the original Monsoon Sandals. Instead of just expanding your feet, this allows all your limbs to be super flexible. It was revealed alongside 4 other Shen Gong Wu, and this was actually in the Everglades, Florida. Super cool episode where we got to see a lot of Shen Gong Wu, but not what they did. But it came out commonly used in the show. It's worn around the user's wrist, and it doesn't look like it at first. It looks just like a flower, but it turns you into stretchable rubber, like Luffy from One Piece. Isn't that so interesting? Next, we have the Mind Reader Conch. You'll know some of the more psychologically manipulative Shen Gong Wu are the ones I favor because I do think a lot of power comes within the mind. This episode was always so interesting to me. They find it in Java, Indonesia, on some beach. And the entire episode is devoted to the power of the Shen Gong Wu. So it's kind of a plot device, but it more keeps the plot going. It's golden, not like a normal conch, and has a black pattern on top of it. Telepathy, to hear into your opponent's thoughts. It's really cool. Kimiko actually combined it with the changing chopsticks and Eye of Dashi to make like her own little satellite and read anybody in the world's thoughts, which was a concept I never realized was possible. But hey, season 3 took these old Shen Gong Wu and really gave them new meaning, right guys? The next Shen Gong Wu I actually associate with Hannibal Bean, the Moby Morpher, because like right after it's revealed, he's the one who primarily possesses it. It's the first Shen Gong Wu to be revealed in season 3 and allows you to change into anything. They say in the show it's considered to be one of the most powerful and dangerous Shen Gong Wu, which the rest on this list also say, so that's not really indicative of its actual power. Yeah, so when activated, you can change your shape, size, into anything, also gaining the abilities of the chosen form. Also super fun to play in the Xiaolin Showdown video game. Sorry for being annoying about it, but when I found this in the game, I was so excited. It was just found in a volcano, though. It wasn't like any specific place, and I can't seem to find it. But it's still a really cool Shen Gong Wu. The next we have is the Orb of Tournami from Season 1, Omi's main elemental Shen Gong Wu. I felt like the elemental Shen Gong Wu definitely were more versatile and could be used in a number of different ways, in a way that the older Shen Gong Wu couldn't, and I think Grandmaster Dashi, if he was creating these, he thought that in mind, so I had to put this really high on the list, because in literally when it's revealed, it can create a whole tsunami or even flood, which is so dangerous. It's found in Texas, which is super cool. It's just like some random western town, and it's pretty basic. It's just a bright blue circle. You find any inflated ball at Dollar General that's blue, and you could essentially roleplay like you have it. That's what I did when I was little, okay? It's a combination of torrent and tsunami, which is so cool. But definitely one of the more known ones. That's why I think it's dangerous. But so is the Rio Reverso from Season 3. See, nothing is quite like this Shen Gong Wu. It basically allows its user to revert something to its original state. It's found wedged within a rock in the dinosaur episode called Oil in the Family. It's a reversal type Shen Gong Wu, like the reversing mirror, but it actually can go back in history, turning an object into where it was originally originated. Oh my god, too many original. So I would say it's restoration in a way. Not much to say about it, just it can't determine which came first, the chicken or the egg, which was such an unnecessary joke I can't even believe they included it. The next one that's super powerful is the Ruby of Ramses. It's found in Egypt in Africa, which was such a cool location, very unique for the show, especially at the time. They didn't go to places with pyramids. I just thought it was really cool. It just allows you to telekinetically move things. It's a large 8-sided conical shaped ruby, also has numerous yellow spikes on it, and just the idea of being able to lift something up and move it around was always so cool to me. Wuya uses it to manipulate Jack at one point, and I remember that being like one of the funnier episodes. So yeah, that's the Ruby of Ramses. Next, we get to the first Shen Gong Wu revealed in the second season, which is my favorite season, so it's gotta be important a little bit, right? It's found on a Kuaitian island in Taiwan. It's a transportation type Shen Gong Wu, but really it does so much more than that. It kind of manipulates time in a way, and it makes the user faster by slowing everything else down around it. It's not your typical jogged bolt of energy. It's like a distinct round spear-like head wrapped in a bold horizontal stripe with dark brown, orange, and cream colors. It feels close to being like the golden tiger claws in the sense that like you could just go from one place and appear in the next, but this actually affects everybody around you, not just the individual person, not letting it be like transportation-y. That's when they reveal that if more than one person is touching a Shen Gong Wu, the powers can go to all of them, which is definitely a cheat if you're playing this at recess. Now back to Season 1 for another OG, the Shroud of Shadows. The basic one feels like a Harry Potter ripoff, but still unique nonetheless. It's found in Tokyo and introduced in the Shen Yi Bu episode, which is a really important episode if you care about the logistics of a Xiaolin Showdown, which I'm not going to get into. It's this dark-colored cloth which actually allows you to turn invisible. It's as large as like a poncho, I would say. It can also expand past where the blanket goes and allow the person to be fully invisible, which is so interesting because I'm just glad they covered that base. It needs to be a part of Malamala Zhong because it serves as his cape, and in the video game feels just like not helpful because it just turns you into a black dot, like getting hit by a blooper in Mario Kart. It's not super unique in that sense, but hey, they had some good Shen Gong Wu in there. I really like the golden finger next because it's found, one, in Rome, Italy, and two, because it just looks really cool. I just like it when the Shen Gong Wu are gold. It definitely adds like this ancient vibe to them, and it can freeze time, kind of very similar to the Shard of Lightning in a way, but this one just feels a little bit more powerful. I can't even explain it. It's chronokinesis, so it allows the ability to temporarily freeze time for all things surrounding the user. So I don't know how you can't prove that it does the same thing that the Shard of Lightning does, but with more control over it. See, that's a pattern that I don't like in this show with the Shen Gong Wu. Like, it's so similar. The next two are coincidentally revealed in the same episode of Season 2. It's called Sizing Up Omi. It's exactly like the Eye of Dashi, but in a completely different form. The Thorn of Thunderbolt, a combat Shen Gong Wu found in Death Valley. Really cool area in California that I can't believe they referenced. They say it's as heavy as like a dagger, which makes sense because I feel like there's a lot more power to it. It gives you electrokinesis, which can actually kill people, so I feel like it's a pretty relevant one. It's not as bad as the Kazusu Atom, but none of them are. It's a design inspired by SAI, a type of close-ranged weapon used during the feudal Japan, which is kind of cool that it's attached to history like that. I really respect that one. The next from that same episode is the Wings of Tanabe. It was found on like some plain mountain road, and it's kind of a transportation Shen Gong Wu, allowing the ability to fly with a rainbow gaze behind them, which is kind of random. I don't think that part was necessary, like the vapor trail of it all. This is one of the only Shen Gong Wu that comes and then leaves immediately. Jessie, Clay's sister, ends up taking it for herself, and we never see it again. So that's kind of interesting how it ends up that way. I definitely think it's powerful because it's the most control you have over a flying type Shen Gong Wu. Then we go back to one of the elements with the Sword of the Storm, which I definitely think is a lot more powerful than the Orb of Tournami. That's why I put it here. It's surprisingly an awesome toy, too. This is one of the few they released at the time in 2000s, which I wish I knew about. I would have gotten it. It's so expensive now. It's a combat Shen Gong Wu. It's like the one that looks the most like a sword before we get that one in Season 3 that's a Wudai weapon. It's found in Monte Carlo, Monaco, in an episode that is about Raimundo already, so it's cool that it's his Shen Gong Wu. It's goldish brown with a black handguard, simple grid, and a tassel at the end. Of course, it has that super unique ability of combining with the Eye of Dashi, amplifying the sword's abilities, manipulating the weather as much as it does the wind. So it's kind of like the lunar locket if it was majorly controlled. Of course, the Sphere of Yoon is something we have to talk about because that allows you to capture a user and take all of their powers. Like, even if they have a Shen Gong Wu on them, it's super powerful. I feel like the idea to reverse something or take somebody's power is really OP. That's why it's like the effects of a Shen Gong Wu being reversed just needs to be looked at for long enough. Especially since it puts Jack Spicer above Chase Young. If any Shen Gong Wu can do that, that's gotta be one of the more powerful ones for sure. It's found in a cave in the Black Vipers episode, and it's just considered miscellaneous. Hannibal Bean uses this to actually capture Omi after he convinces him to absorb all the Shen Gong Wu, which is why I see it as such a powerful one. I don't even know how, but it does like imprisonment and power transference at the same time, while a lot of Shen Gong Wu don't even do either. Let's trip back to Season 1 for Kimiko's signature Shen Gong Wu, the Star Hanabi. Yeah, anything that deals with fire is super powerful because it has the power to destroy. This is also found in Texas, specifically on Clay Bailey's father, a really cool concept and one of my favorite storytelling tropes that like the most powerful antique could be around someone's neck and dug up and they think they own it. Like, it's so crazy. That's why it's so high up on the list. It gives you pyrokinesis, allows you to release fire blasts at your opponents, and also allows you to glide over dark places with fire. I mean, it's just all fire stuff. So, it's Kimiko's Shen Gong Wu, and Hanabi means firework in English. So, it's really cool that they managed to find a definition for it. The next one is super powerful, the Tongue of Sai-Ping, the ability to contact and talk to other animals. It's kind of crazy. I didn't realize it was released in Season 1. I thought it was revealed, like, way later. But I'm really curious how Dashi made this one, given the fact that there was, like, a physical tongue on top of it. The whole red, black, and gold scheme is kind of ominous. It gives me, like, a really scary vibe compared to, like, the Eye of Dashi, which also looks like a necklace. Like, that they do have some weird similarities. I never heard the word thorokinesis, but to be able to control the animals as well as talk to them definitely overpowers this a lot. I wish this was in the video game because I could just imagine like a rabid bunch of monkeys attacking somebody. Like, I wish this was incorporated somehow. Then we're back to the pilot with the two-tongue tunic. Funny that it's called the two-ton tunic when it's the second Shen Gong Wu ever revealed, and it's supposed to be impenetrable armor. Yeah, impenetrable. And I wanted it to be super high on the power list because I believe that it's super strong. With Dashi using it as his own armor, and it being the chest of the Malama Lejong counterpart, there's no way it's any safer on people. It's found in Italy, and they go there a couple times. I just really like that they find this here. And it could block, like, literally anything, except for when it's used at the reversing mirror, which obviously is a cheat. You can just reverse the effect of any Shen Gong Wu. That one is not always fair. The monks have it for, like, a majority of the show. It's, like, very rare that I think a villain has used this Shen Gong Wu. Next is primarily a chase Shen Gong Wu. The Wushin Geyser is found in a desert in the episode The New Order, where Jack takes over Chase's whole ordeal. It gives you menokinesis, which allows the user to erase memories of their enemies, which I find to be super overpowered, especially since, like, not only does it leave your opponent defenseless, but, like, super vulnerable. It's a brown helmet with a gold and red V design, and I really like the way it looks out of all the headgear Shen Gong Wu. Gray visor come down and be focused on Chase Young makes it feel like it has a wide range of things. The next two come in tandem, which is very rare considering there are a lot of sister Shen Gong Wu, but this kind of has the same ability. The Yin Yo-Yo and the Yang Yo-Yo. Mainly because that special was the most important out of all time. The Yin Yo-Yo and the Yang Yo-Yo allow you to go into an alternate dimension that is like ruled by good and evil, like just solely in spirit. And it's like afterlife coded. It's so trippy. One of the reasons I absolutely fell for this show, because I always thought it was cool to be able to combine transportation with the ability to choose your own beliefs. What? This one's found in the jungle, the Yin Yo-Yo, and the Yang Yo-Yo is found in the Yin Yang world, which is so weird. I feel like the issue is that, like, it was only able to be in Dojo's ear when he's in the Yin Yang world, because otherwise, wouldn't they have had it the entire movie and then negate the entire plot? Yeah, that's the thing. So it teleports, it switches morality, and it gives you access to the yin-yang world. It is my favorite component to the video games because going abruptly into areas like this is like the perfect vibe. I love the art for it. It's such a cool concept. Yin and yang being used for more than just a aesthetic choice is amazing. That's when we get to some really overpowered Shen Gong Wu. Like, for example, one of the strongest in the first season, and the last to be revealed in that season, the reversing mirror. Yeah, also brings Wuya to life, especially with combining the serpent's tail. It's found inside a lighthouse, which is one of my favorite locations throughout this whole series, and it just allows you to counter anything. Like, anything directed toward it, even the effects that it's normally using can be bounced back to the attacker. That's the thing, it feels like it could just counter any Shen Gong Wu, therefore it's kind of cheating in a way, but it is like one of the more known Shen Gong Wu, so I like seeing it. Next, we have Season 2's Shadow of Fear. Of course, if an episode has an entire plot based around one Shen Gong Wu, it's gotta be powerful. Shadow of Fear allows the user to go into their enemy's nightmares and even configure what is bringing them fear and bring it to life. Something that doesn't even feel like a Shen Gong Wu, but like intense. It's on a log in a forest river, which I don't know how it would have been staying there the entire time. It would have at least fell in the water. It's an eagle-shaped Shen Gong Wu, shiny with feather designs, and has red eyes. It definitely feels very scary. And when combined with the Sapphire Dragon and Moby Morpher, which are two super overpowered Shen Gong Wu, it has dire consequences. Like, for example, bringing not only your fear to life, but also transforming it into something worse. So that had to go high up on this list. The next is my all-time favorite, the toy release, the most popular Shen Gong Wu in existence. I had to look so hard to find this on my Xiaolin Showdown trading cards, and it's found in Beijing, China, below the Emperor's Palace, if you can remember. It's technically a transformation Shen Gong Wu, allowing its user to rip a hole in humanity and teleport from one place to another. It's this long gold claw attached to a wooden sleeve that goes around the wrist. It doesn't quite sit right, and when I'm picturing myself using it, I don't know if that's really how it works, but isn't that the beauty of it all? It's definitely used in creating Mala Mala Zhang, accessing even the strongest of Shen Gong Wu. Like, the ability to just go from one place to another, if anything, it's underutilized. Raymundo is the person I've seen use it the absolute most, mainly because of, like, the Citadel of Doom episode. Like, this is one of the most important for sure. That's why they had to throw it to the center of the earth. If not the most powerful from Season 1. Like I said, the psychological ones definitely have a huge bearing on the overarching plot. That's why I think the crystal glasses need to get a special highlight. The third revealed in the Season 2, it allows you to see into your future. It's on the face of a statue in a Russian temple, and oh my god, this is where it feels like it's super history related, because the ability to see into the future, like, that's gotta be helpful. I can't imagine how Grandmaster Dashi used this to see the events that would transpire way later. And again, having an episode named after it definitely gives it some power level. It's a metallic bronze, and it's the only one that kind of looks like glasses, so it's really cool and unique in that sense. It's precognition, and the way they use it to trick Omi is one of the coolest ways I think I've seen an object used in a kid's cartoon in general. So you definitely have to look into this one if you don't remember it super well, because this has a multitude of stories waiting for it. Next one we have is the Xing Zombone. Turns their enemies into zombies. Most notable for Kimiko's dad. The episode where he turns into a zombie, Panda Bubba uses it, and they have this whole video game showdown. It's awesome. It's in the hands of the wooden statue in Tokyo, and it's a manipulation Shen Gong Wu, since you could turn everybody into mindless zombies and actually have them work for you as, like, your own minion. Like, it's just so overpowered in that sense. Then, the Fist of Tebagong. I do think that this has slightly more power than the Star Hanabi. It's Clay's main Shen Gong Wu throughout the entire show. I definitely associate it with him every time I see it. It's in a field of the grasslands, kind of random, doesn't really have a tie to anything historical or anything, but it is equal in strength to the Mikado arms, surprisingly. So, now that I think about it, I don't know why it wouldn't be as strong as the Mikado arms, but this can be used as a shield, superhuman strength, and create a shockwave when it's in the video game, which is definitely cool. I feel like this one was so fun to win in the video game because it just seems like it would be a lot more powerful. It's the Chinese word for special arm and skill and means gauntlet of power. Ooh, definitely a really cool meaning behind it. The next one is my personal favorite lightning edition. It's the Denshi Bunny. I just like the view of it. Like, it's so rare to have a blue Shen Gong Wu. It's mainly just the Orb of Toonami in this one, but it looks great. It's in the video game too, found atop a mountain, and it manipulates you into lightning, which I guess Moby Morpher can't turn you into a physical element, and this one definitely overpowers all the elemental ones in that case. The ability is called electrosociology, can even short-circuit weak conductors like light bulbs, lamps, even certain robots. Before it's explained in nature, people logically think that it has the ability to turn you into a rabbit, which I always thought too before I understood. Then we have, of course, the Mikado Arms, which is the fist of Tebegong on steroids. It feels like it's physically a part of you, which is another reason I think it's extra strong. And the final Shen Gong Wu in the entire series. So every time I see this, I get a little nostalgic and kind of sad because it's just reminding me of a simpler time. It's a combat Shen Gong Wu, of course, and is found on a construction building. You could check out my full retrospective on Season 3 on my channel, where I really go into the episodes, but this one is just really cool. It's two golden arms holding on to one another on either end, and I thought it was like some peaceful Shen Gong Wu, but really it's just superhuman strength. Dojo states this is one of the lesser known Wu, but he says that for like 4 or 5 of them, so I don't even know why we address it like that anymore. I think it's just for dramatic purposes. Then we have the Fountain of Wei, which I always considered was a huge, powerful Shen Gong Wu, because the ability to access knowledge is just so important. I know it's combined with the Eagle Scope, but I think this individual Shen Gong Wu would be a huge issue if fallen into the wrong hands, therefore super powerful. It contains all the knowledge in the universe, but it's addressed super randomly unless you have the Eagle Scope. Still a cool Shen Gong Wu nevertheless. It's shaped like a fountain and sparkles with 3 prongs sticking upward and a black ring interior with a blue gemstone. Oh, I love the blue of it all. When combined with the reversing mirror, it could actually give you the opposite knowledge of what you're looking for, like it did with Omi and Chase Young when they were trying to fight the spiders. Omi thought he found the secret to evil, but it turns out he found the secret to defeating good. One of the best twists in cartoon history. So I'm always going to think that this is important. It's also named after the creator of the show, Christy Hui. So it's Fountain of Hui? Or Fountain of Wei, and her name is Christy Hui? I don't know. The point is, comment below. Then, of course, the Sapphire Dragon, the first Shen Gong Wu to have its own standalone episode. And this one really switched their world upside down when it came out. It's so powerful, it has to be soot infused and at a volcano in Indonesia to not hurt anybody. It's malvoyant, quiet, cunning, and a frightful being of chaos. What I imagine they were trying to go for with the mosaic scale with actual substance to it. The fact it could come alive in its own right is insanely scary and makes it one of the strongest Shen Gong Wu for sure. It's cool that it's weak against soot because, you know, like, unless you know that, it's really hard to get away with. It could also manifest nightmares when it's combined with the Shadow of Fear, which is exactly why it's so dangerous. It also has some sentience and intelligence, which is why it's alive, and even can form other things. That's why it's scary. Bears resemblance to the Azure Dragon of the East, as well as, like, that dragon in the theme song. Really interesting. It also has its own little theme song that only comes out for when you see the Sapphire Dragon, and I like that a lot. The next one I feel like is also a cheat, the Sun Chi Lantern. I feel like one of the most powerful in the first season. It was found in the Namib Desert, Africa, on a dead tree, if you can believe it. It resembles a lantern, and when used, it actually absorbs the chi of anybody around, illuminated by its light. In the case of the monks, it could actually absorb their element. I feel like the ability to take all the powers from those around you makes it the most interesting, and stronger than the Sphere of Yun, because once you get one individual person, you get their power, but with this, you can actually get everybody's powers. I wish they combined it somehow with the Yin and Yang Yo-Yo, because that would have been an awesome plot point, but yeah, it's just used in one episode, and I guess they kind of forgot about it, but that doesn't mean it's not so powerful. Then we have the Sands of Time, another episode named after a Shen Gong Wu. From Season 2, this allows you to travel in time. I don't know how else to say the ability without being any simpler. It causes so much trouble for the monks when they get it, like almost the same amount as a Sapphire Dragon, so it had to be on this list. It's considered transportation, and actually buried at the temple, where Omi buried it. Oh, very interesting. And it's so powerful, like, they cannot keep it out normally. Like, same thing with the Golden Tiger Claws, this one had to be very carefully watched. It was technically the first episode of Season 2, And even though Grandmaster Dashi says he doesn't have any time-traveling Shen Gong Wu, you can see the sands of time in the episode, which is kind of crazy. I like that it's kind of like a hint into what's to become. Then, this is what I think is, like, no doubt one of the most powerful Shen Gong Wu, the Kazusu Atom. Yeah, so this vaporizes things. Like, things can fully be eradicated. And that is dangerous, but one of the most unique looking ones. It's found in the Chucky Chew episode from Season 3 in a riverbed with Jack and the monks fighting over it. And it looks like a small sealed lotus with petals that are golden on the outside. And then when it opens up, it looks like a flower. It's so cool. It has the ability to even vaporize Shen Gong Wu, which is why I think it's one of the most powerful. It's Japanese for kazusu, which is to break or destroy, something that also has history to it. Then, of course, you can't have a strong Shen Gong Wu without a Shen Gong Wu that controls that strong Shen Gong Wu. The Emperor Scorpion is objectively the strongest Shen Gong Wu because you have the ability to control other Shen Gong Wu. So if you say any other Shen Gong Wu is good, technically the Emperor Scorpion is better. Kind of a cheap shot, and I feel like I don't want to give it too much credit because it was more of a plot device to save the day when the Malamajongs got away. And it's found inside the Earth's core. One of the most basic experiences of manipulation, but definitely one of the most powerful. If you remember Season 1 really well, the second to last Shen Gong Wu that I think is the most powerful is the Heart of Zhong. I don't know why, just something about it emotionally makes me think power. It's on a treetop in a forest and can bring any inanimate object to life and give it emotions. One of the most important Shen Gong Wu to create Malamajongs. Actually, no, the most important. Literally, they can't survive without it. And it brings a snowman to life. It could do so much. I was always curious to see if it would have been used in a sense where like a character died and you could use it to bring them back to life, but they never got that really obvious plot point. It's just super stressful, and they never purposely used it throughout the show, which is why it causes so much chaos. It's last seen in Season 2 without coming back again, so I'm always gonna miss it, but I'll have the little trading card to always look back on. Yeah, Heart of Zhong. We should at least shout out some of the trading card Shen Gong Wu because they are a part of the original series, and I always love that. You know, like, even though they weren't featured in the episodes, I like to imagine what they would have been like if they were. First, we got the Bear Baton. Basically, it turns the user into a bear-like creature that can attack with super sharp teeth. Definitely a cool idea. I feel like Clay would use this if anybody, and I can't imagine what we would do with it in the show. Maybe like a camping episode, something of that nature. And I'm also curious as to where it would be found. Then we have the Bubble Brains. Basically, it grants its user a photographic memory. For some reason, this card is red, which means it's a fire-type Shen Gong Wu, so I'm confused at how they're trying to go about this. Then we got the Bullhorn Blazer, which of course is an Earth Shen Gong Wu, and it gives you a set of bullhorns that could transform into a running bull. Okay, I guess that's more of an offensive Shen Gong Wu. Cool. The Cube of Hinaku is kind of annoying to me because it resembles the puzzle box they put Wuya in, so that just keeps me questioning, like, if that's even supposed to be there. So, I don't know. It's blue, so it would be a water Shen Gong Wu, and it's supposed to create ironic situations for all of its users' opponents. Something very vague that I don't know how to categorize at all. Then we have the Culver Crystal, another necklace Shen Gong Wu. Ooh, so it's a glittering and blinding sphere of light that helps its users create an escape, another Earth Shen Gong Wu, and I really like the idea of trying to get out of a situation with it. Like, that seems like something that'd be useful in the show. Then we have the Da Hippa Hoppa, which turns all of its user speech into rhymes, yet looks like a really disoriented version of the Tongue of Saiping, so I'm also confused at their intentions behind this. Another shoe-based Shen Gong Wu, the Danger Sneakers, which actually warns its user of impending danger. It counts as a Wind Shen Gong Wu, so it'll be in Raimundo's category. Still curious of how this would be used. It seems like it would only be needed for a plot point. Then the Horde of Haiku. The Horde of Haiku lets its user turn into a cloud of millions of biting insects, which could pass through narrow openings. Ooh, kind of an interesting concept, but a little too similar to the Moonstone Locust Shen Gong Wu, what I imagine the Juju Flytrap looks like. It just doesn't seem as original as the rest. Then we got the Emo Gazer, which actually is used in the Xiaolin Showdown video game, which definitely makes me think they were intending on using it in the show at some point, but it just didn't work. And it instantly puts an opponent into a deep sleep. Really cool, because it like resembles a flashlight with a gem. I really like that concept a lot. The Indigo Pyramid is another Fire Shen Gong Wu, and this card is actually rarer than the others, so I'm confused as to how strong it's supposed to be. It allows the user to change an opponent's mind. When combined with the reversing mirror, it could change the user's mind instead. Ooh, I kind of like that a lot. That definitely makes me wish it was in the series. The Komari Sword lets its user hang upside down like a bat and fight well in darkness. I don't think we needed another Sword Shen Gong Wu, but it's definitely a premium card, so not just like something casual. It's an important one. I don't know, I just think we have enough of the swords. Then we got a Mask of Rio, which I think is cool because we haven't really seen a proper mask Shen Gong Wu throughout the entire series, and it helps its user blend into the surroundings, kind of like a chameleon of sorts, which I really like. It's a rare one, which I think I have in my collection. Kind of cool, not to brag. But it's a Wind Shen Gong Wu, so it's definitely cool in that sense. The Neptune Helmet allows its user to create a walking hurricane, which I always thought was interesting. Confused at why it's Neptune, but also an Earth Shen Gong Wu. Whatever, it's a trading card game. Can't take it that seriously. The Ninja Slash allows its user to create doubles of themselves, even though it's already done in the Shadow Slicer, the Ring of the Nine Dragons, and it's a Fire Shen Gong Wu. I'm curious how that is implemented, because otherwise it's just a replica of already existing ones. The Pearl of Labai makes its users' enemies babble poetry nonstop. Can't imagine any scenario this would be useful, so we're going to move on from that really quickly. The Polar Paws turns its user into a polar bear and has the ability to withstand extremely cold temperatures. Definitely very specific. Not much to say on that, but it's a very powerful card in the series. The Praying Monster can turn into a big, like, mantis monster. Not sure if it's something you wear, something you hold. It looks like it's more of, like, something you put in your hand. And it's a very rare one, apparently. Then we have the Rainbow Star, which turns everyone and everything into a rainbow of colors. I'm not sure if it's a distraction Shen Gong Wu or what they're going for, but some of these are just there to be there. I'm curious why they have the Thorn of Tectonic when it's really the Thorn of Thunderbolt already used and has the same power. That's always going to bother me about the trading card game, but hey, I'm just a fan, I guess. Now let's get back to the regular Shen Gong Wu. As the most powerful, I wanted to say the Cannon Blaster. Season 3 Shen Gong Wu. Yeah, I just think it's gorgeous. It looks like a trophy of some sort. It's found in the desert and considered a transportation Shen Gong Wu, but also could be considered a combat Shen Gong Wu and a protective Shen Gong Wu, and turns the user into a human cannonball. It's small and bronze, and it's just so cool. This is one of the last used in the final episode, so it does hold a special place in my heart. One of the last to be revealed, so I just gotta give it a lot of credit. So those were all the Shen Gong Wu. God, if this video wasn't long enough. I literally sat here, guys, and did most of this in one sitting. I cannot believe how little of a life I have. I just love Xiaolin Showdown so much. I'm currently in the process of trying to find all these Shen Gong Wu, like handmade or online, to buy up, so I personally can collect all the Shen Gong Wu. But you know what? Maybe I'm just never gonna do it. I think that's just how it's supposed to be. I do think the lore is so interesting, the way they dive into history, like Greek mythology for some of them, using Japanese and Chinese terms to explain a Shen Gong Wu just in its name. Like, they're very cleverly written, and they will never hold a light to anything in Xiaolin Chronicles ever. So thank you guys so much for watching. I had a great time reciting these back to you, and make sure to flag all those other AI videos about Shen Gong Wu, because I do not want people I don't want people finding the wrong Shen Gong Wu in real life. No, I don't actually care that much. But seriously, thank you guys so much for watching and enjoying my Xiaolin Showdown content. I could make this stuff forever, so don't challenge me by making this video too popular, or I will find something else to make. Thank you guys so much, and have a great day.